dirty Turkish back flatten.
Fire trucker!
Morton, Philip, Bunker, Martin, Perkaluma.
Fire trucker!
Burton, Durton, Wagga, Frax, Wack.
Fire trucker!
Wagon, floated back, tar in that carapac. There's Clanton as a trapper all.
Fire trucker!
You are listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Empire. It's the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
Riley's in the shotgun, looking downfield, and then throws. It is up in the air to the goal line. Bounces. What a catch! What a catch by Duke Williams! Touchdown, Eskimos! Bryant Mitchell! It's going to be intercepted. Arjun Colhoun.
Mike appears to be a CFL encyclopedia.
Welcome back to the Fire Trucking Turf District. Another episode brought to you by United Construction Company. Check out all the great builds they do at unitedconstruction.ca and check out all of our links and social at eskempire.ca. I'm Andrew, and in the co-pilot chair this evening, Superfan Mike.
Well, fire truck.
Pretty much. I have a feeling that filter is going to be used a lot this evening.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice, quick edit.
Isn't it? Yeah, I can feel how... I can only imagine how long this is going to take you. No Commissioner Kayla tonight as she's off having fun in Europe.
Well, one of us is.
One of us is having fun this week. That's good. I'm glad to do that. But we are joined by a returning featured fan, the one and only Chad. How you doing, man?
I don't know what the
Fire truck
happened on Saturday.
That's, yeah. I'm glad we're continuing with the theme.
Well, on the plus side, we're getting it out now, Coach.
That's right, yes.
We'll have some good things to talk about, so stick around.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the last time you were here, Chad, the guest that was here, I'm actually kind of upset because there was no Franklin as you came in. I mean, that's really what it should have been. It should have had the continuation of Franklin and Chad.
I probably should have negotiated better, but I guess we got Mike, so we're partway there.
Well.
Part way. In that I'm human.
Yes.
Male.
Yes.
Yeah.
And alive. Well,
sure.
there you go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, well.
2 eyes, nose, mouth.
Yeah.
Step 3.
Three steps is good. Yeah. I think before we get into the game, which, I mean, that's, I use that term very loosely, but when we get into that, let's talk about some more positive stuff first. I deemed this as Esks news, but I guess it's really Grey Cup Festival news.
Yes.
Last Wednesday.
Yep.
Wednesday. Mm-hmm. We were invited to go to the Grey Cup Festival announcements that were happening, and it was fantastic. And thank you again to Lauren and Dwayne for inviting us to be part of that. Lots of interesting announcements that came out of that. If you haven't listened to the conversation with Dwayne, please go back, check it out. It's only 8 minutes, so
it's a short one,
nice, easy one.
Worth it.
Now, the Cooper Free Stage was the thing that kind of stood out for me.
Sure.
Because that was all new acts and just the variety of acts that are happening on that stage.
Some retro guys in there.
Sorry, I meant new announced acts.
New, yes.
Sorry, I missed a word in there.
There we go. Yeah, I mean, like I said.
I only talk like 50% of the time. I'm a lot like the Eskimos that way. Yeah, that's why this podcast reflects the team.
We do what we can. It's a free service.
Yeah, exactly. I like to miss things and... especially in the fourth quarter. So, okay. So anyway.
But you never let us down.
That's, well.
See?
I guess. Yeah, that's true.
That's what editing's for, right?
That's right. Perfect. Yeah. I get a really good edit on this show.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Home field advantage.
Yeah.
Home field advantage.
Yeah. Yes, but the Cooper Free Stage was announced.
Right.
Some great acts. The Watchmen, Tim Hicks.
Maestro.
Fresh West.
This jam is amplified, so just glide. And let your backbone slide.
Love it. I am so going to be there for that. It's going to be fantastic. Yeah. I was pretty excited about that. And of course they announced Alan Doyle performing at the gala.
Oh, for sure.
Which is going to be great. And 3 different tailgates, which, that's a first. Usually there's a couple, but they're looking at 3 different tailgates, all with different flavors of music.
It's true. I mean, of course the country one's inside because apparently country people are wusses. I don't know what's going on there.
I'll just ignore that.
That's the one you're most excited about, isn't it?
I'm a country boy. I
right.
grew up out in the sticks.
All right. Well, fair enough.
I got to go home to someone who listens to country, so I'm already in trouble.
Oh, poor guy. But I do want to thank Dwayne for doing that quick SPEP episode. Now, the other thing that was cool that they announced is they're going to announce the Grey Cup halftime show at the halftime of our game this coming Saturday.
That's right.
I think that's kind of cool. It's more interactive.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times before, I mean, it's been announced on Twitter and that too. And usually I'm, just getting ready for work and then it's like, oh, hey, this is who's going to be playing Grey Cup. This time, putting it in the middle of a game, especially in one that's going to be televised nationally, I really like that idea of bringing everybody together to know who it is at the same time and figure out who we're going to be missing as we're standing at West of Us.
That's right. Well, on the plus side, we'll all be at West of Us glued to our phones reading the Twitter account. So
yeah, exactly.
Eventually it will come up who it is and,
And then we can, have the yearly argument about whether it was a good choice or not. And then we can say, well, we're going to be standing in the same spot when that performer's there.
On the plus side, someone's going to be happy.
Exactly. Yes.
Now, is it going to be someone who's young and into some modern music, or is it going to be Brazilian Thai?
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out.
It's lovely. Okay, but if you had just a dream guest that you wanted for Grey Cup for halftime, who would it be?
For me personally, it would be Rush.
Wrong.
But if I figure Chad? It was somebody else, like if I have the dream guest for, like, we could get anybody, I still like the idea of bringing it Canadian. I'd say Drake.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's definitely a good call.
Going to bring a lot of eyes to it, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and a lot of people know. Yeah. Chad?
I'm wrong. I would say Rush because I haven't seen them. But you know what? I'm not sure. There's so many great acts out there and so many new acts out there that can really draw, Drake is one of them.
Yeah.
Draw attention to the CFL.
Right.
Yeah.
They tried with the Black Eyed Peas. It brought some, but it wasn't a Canadian act, right? If you
Lenny
keep
Kravitz was good, but again, not Canadian.
Yeah.
The Imagine Dragons.
Imagine Dragons were amazing.
Yeah.
That was a great
not
show.
Not Canadian.
Yeah.
Fall Out Boy were great. Not Canadian. Blue Rodeo. No, that was bad.
So, yeah, you went the wrong way with that. Yeah.
But they've had some good ones, right? They've had the Tragically Hip there. They had Trooper back when Trooper was certainly a little more current.
Yeah.
They had Bryan Adams in 2003.
Right.
They had Luba.
That's
the Nylons.
Absolutely. Lots of great choices. Chad's like, I don't even know who you're talking about.
Yeah, you lost me on those last two. Sorry.
Yeah, put it this way, just be glad.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing, Chad. It's
perfect.
Okay.
Celine Dion's already done it.
Yeah.
Okay. Shania twice. All right.
Shania's the first person to ever do a Grey Cup twice.
Twice, yes.
So I guess that means we could have somebody like...
We could have a repeat.
Sass Jordan or...
We could. Never know. All right. Well, lots of speculation. It'll be lots of fun. Last little bit of kind of Esks related news, I guess. Buffalo and Minnesota yesterday play in the NFL, and at the end of the game, there's the picture: Dion Lacey and Brandon Zylstra trading jerseys, and
so amazing.
I gotta tell you, as just a fan of this team, that just warmed the heart. Like I love to see that. I thought it was great. The wrong team won that game, but still, it was really good that it was that they were both there.
It was great to see, obviously, the camaraderie that is still there. Two guys that came up here, two Americans that came up here, played the game. We all fell in love with both of them and their playing. And just the way that Dion said when he posted it on his Facebook feed that, once an Eskimo, always an Eskimo. And it's
awesome.
That's definitely a moment that made all of us smile.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's such a cool pick.
Very, very cool pick. I love when they do that, right?
Yeah.
So, and very cool they were both from here. So I don't know that we've had that before in active players in the NFL.
Certainly of that stature, that's for sure.
Exactly. So I think that's very cool. All right. We best talk about it, because we need to talk about it.
The wounded elephant in the room.
Let's talk about the Take Away the TD Bowl, because that's what this was.
Wow.
I mean, what was there, 5 TDs taken off
them, 2 for us.
off the board due to either penalty or review?
Yep.
That's craziness.
I mean, on the plus side, they were all correct calls.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they were all correct.
It's not like they took stuff away and you're like, come on, that was definitely in. But
yeah. They were all the correct calls, and I agree with that. Obviously, so does the guy who runs the Ottawa video board.
If the Edmonton video team isn't paying attention,
I'm surprised that. I mean, if you're allowed to do it, then
why don't we do it?
Pause it right on the spot that shows it, because that's ridiculous.
To be fair, in the one against Duke, that was definitely not a touchdown. It was definitely pass interference.
Oh, it absolutely was pass interference.
But of course, we had to waste our challenge
on a different pass interference.
Obvious pass interference.
That was a crossbody in the end zone, and exactly. So, yeah.
I'm really hoping
and
to
the
make
part
a change
that drives me
there.
crazy of that is that they review the play anyway.
Yeah.
But I guess it's different people. That's what I've heard, is that one person is watching the replay to see if it's a catch, but they don't look for anything else.
Right.
But you should, if you're reviewing the play anyway, should you not be reviewing for pass interference at the same time? But that's
what I'd like to see, though. Is I know they had 2 challenges and they dropped to the 1. Because it was 2 challenges, plus you got to keep your timeout if you didn't, or you got a third one if you were correct on both of them.
Right, yes, yeah.
And then they said, well, people were fishing too much, we'll drop to 1. But now you're using these challenges on stuff that shouldn't be needed.
Exactly.
It's like, if you're just like, okay, well, that was obviously illegal contact maybe, which you can't challenge now. But let's say pass interference, they didn't get it. Okay, well, now that we've slowed it down, we can see it. But when it's that blatant and you lose your only challenge, that's pretty painful.
Right, yeah. And, I mean, you can grab a face mask, though, right?
Sure.
Oh, if you don't get caught.
Yeah. If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
That's right.
Thank you, Chris Jones.
Exactly. Now, before we get into the details of the Eskimos, I actually do want to give credit to the Ottawa defense because... and also their passing game.
Yes.
I mean, they exploited our shortcomings in a massive way. I know we're going to talk our team and we're going to talk stuff and things like that with the penalty and that type of thing. And I don't want to take anything away from the fact that Ottawa played a good game. Yeah. They actually should have run us right out of the building. Like, they had a chance to with all of those.
When you kick 7 field goals...
And you have, and granted, I know 3 of those field goals would be taken off then, but you have 3 touchdowns taken off the board due to a penalty. Like, man, it shouldn't have even been close. So I do, and it wasn't close, but still, I do want to give that credit because, I mean, for our Ottawa friends, this is a buildup of our team we're pissed off on a number of levels about them being fire trucks. So it doesn't
I'm not
it doesn't reflect on it doesn't reflect on the Ottawa team that had a good game. So let's start with whatever positive we can find.
Good.
I want to start with you, Chad. Did you have a good in there that you found?
Obvious the D bending and holding on the line. When you stop them that many times in that short yardage, your offense has got to do something for you, and you can only be on the field so long before something bad happens. So
they were 80% in the red zone.
Yeah,
stopping them in the red zone.
Yeah,
that usually would be a good game. Yeah,
when you could hold a home team to 7 field goals.
Yeah, like that. We shouldn't have to talk
about
it
the
anymore.
Offense we have. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a bend, don't break, which is very frustrating for a fan to watch. But you're forcing the team to be perfect, and if they screw up, they're kicking field goals, and that's what happened.
That's exactly what happened. And my good actually goes along with that. Earthquakeu with the sack trick.
Yep.
And he was getting back there fairly frequently. I want to give Kwaku a lot of kudos for that.
Yeah, and don't forget 2 for Mondo.
Yep.
And 1 for Jake the Flosser Serezna. So that was good.
Nice. Is that where Travis Curl learned it from?
I think so.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
That's burned into my brain.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, you're welcome for me bringing it back up. All right. Any other goods in this one?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things for sure. Again, in every game, there's going to be something good. You just have to sometimes look for it.
Yeah.
I thought Martese Jackson on punt returns was excellent.
Yeah.
He had a 19.3 yard average on punt returns. Now, there's only 3.
Yes.
Including a 30-yarder. And the thing that was good and kind of depressing at the same time is that was our longest punt return by 12 yards.
Yeah.
18 was our previous best for that.
Wow.
But again, he was hitting the holes hard.
And he kind of made it up on the fly,
Absolutely.
which was really cool.
Like, he had really good vision on that. Not as good on the kicks, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was, outside of that opening kickoff, Hugh O'Neill, another good game, like a solid game. He had a 39.6 yard net on punting, not even the average.
Wow.
And he had a 63-yard average on kickoffs. And that's including the one that went out of bounds and was penalized.
Like, you can't really ask for a better game from your kicker.
No, I mean, again, other than setting them up on the 45 to start the game.
Well, okay, sure. They only got a field goal, though.
But, I mean, yeah, it's true. Hugh has been having a really good year, and I don't think people are talking enough about it.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think it flies under the radar. I mean, kicking doesn't get noticed unless something bad happens.
Right.
Very true.
Or unless it's something amazing, like you're kicking getting a single point off of a kickoff.
It's...
Yeah, that's very true. And he did do that a couple of weeks ago. So,
he did.
He's having a great season. So, absolutely, we'll give those
It's because the beard's getting longer, right?
It must be. It's getting better. It gets better as it gets longer.
The balance part, right? That equilibrium
That's
changes.
right. Yeah, it helps and gives extra power.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Now, I wonder if we have any
fire truck
to talk about. Let's start with one that stood out for you, Chad.
Can I say everything? No. No,
not really. But
the one thing that's been bothering me for a number of weeks is ball security. Watching players, I watched it in the first quarter. There was 2 plays back to back where there was throws to the outside. Both receivers had the ball on the inside arm. No, they were trying to dodge people with one hand.
Yep.
Wait for something bad to happen. You saw it with Gable. Again, he didn't get
the effort to try and get the extra yards.
But it's an ongoing thing. I saw it a couple weeks ago against Calgary, watching Duke chicken wing it. He's jumping over guys. He's playing on that ball is, arm's length away. Yep. Bad things are going to happen. And we've had a couple major turnovers, both in the Labor Day game. And, I mean, it was a killer, this one. We were in scoring position and got nothing out of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Turnovers in general. We had the 2 fumbles, the 1 interception, and 2 on downs. A huge part of this game.
Yeah, and you talked about the interception. To me, that sort of just balanced out Edwards' interception of Trevor Harris.
Right, on the one. Yeah.
So, I mean, they did kind of balance, but unfortunately, that was our only turnover. And they had 5. So, not so great. What the
fire truck
should not be a surprise to anyone that's ever listened to me talk.
Nope. And I put it down as the first one, but I knew you were going to take it. Yeah.
CJ Gable has 6 carries. 6 carries in the entire game.
And we had 41 pass attempts.
52 yards is 8.7 yards per carry.
Yes.
And that's in the first half. He had 3 carries for 22 yards, 7.3 yards per carry. 3 for 10 in the second half. 10 yards a carry, including an 18-yarder.
Yep.
And he didn't see the ball. So all of a sudden, you're just getting the other defensive line just tease off because they know it's going to be a pass. Because everything is a pass.
And the passes aren't just, we're waiting for 2 seconds and throwing it 8 yards.
No.
That's the look. That's the check down is 8 yards away. The one is going 20, 30 yards. And surprisingly enough, they're defended.
The play calling has just been really questionable, I think, especially in the last 4 games. And
even, last game, offense played very well.
The offense played well, but I think they were maybe playing out of their minds.
Oh, it must have been. But I look at it, because I actually looked at it even farther than just CJ Gable. 8 called rushing plays in the entire game. Mm-hmm. One of them being a quarterback draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Mike had
Marquise
2 other
Jackson.
runs that were that obviously, like panic run,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he's going to have a couple of those every game. But 8 called rushing plays, 41 passing plays. That is
fire trucking
ridiculous. If you cannot put any type of balance in the game, exactly what you just said, the defense knows. They can just go.
And it's 27 passing attempts in the second half. He was 13 of 14 in the first half.
Yeah.
And we still lost the time of possession 19-11.
That doesn't make any sense.
So they're just throwing these shorter passes or bombs that go nowhere. And I just don't get it.
And where's the balance? Yeah. The balance is that's a huge issue. A huge issue.
Yeah. And then one more.
Yeah, I'll give you one more, and then I got at least one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think this is probably the one you're going to go with.
Probably.
Penalties.
Yep.
We had back-to-back games with 2 penalties a game. This one, we end up having 9 for 114 yards.
Yep.
3 of them on special teams for 54 yards.
Yeah.
Like half of our penalties in 3 blown calls. They had 3 for 25 yards on special teams.
Yeah. Well, and now what's funny is, I mean, they say 25 yards, but one of those was a returned for a touchdown that got taken away by a penalty. And I had people saying it was ticky-tack and stuff. I'm like, watch the 2014 Grey Cup. It was the exact same call that handed Calgary the Grey Cup and took it away from
There
Hamilton.
were actually 2 different people that had illegal blocks.
Yeah, so it's, anyway. But you're right. And the biggest thing for me was the absolutely senseless, unnecessary roughness call when we were basically going to line up for 3rd and 1.
Yep.
And we end up having to punt that ball.
That was one of Gable's 3 rushes in that first half.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And he could have sent a message.
You know I love Travis Bond.
Yep.
I love talking with him. I am a big fan of his on the offensive line. I'm glad that he's there. But you're right. That's the moment that you set the example. Ruby goes in. Yeah, I'm sorry. You can't take an absolutely stupid penalty like that. That's ridiculous.
Well, it's early in the game too. Like I said, it's 3rd and 1. You're deep in your zone.
Deep.
It's a almost guaranteed continuation.
Yep.
And they can't help themselves. They cannot help themselves. Saw it on the sideline. We got lucky that it offset against, with Ottawa chirping.
Yeah.
But why do you have to go after a guy? He's come off the field, let him off the bench and go.
Yeah.
But you have that entire team running around chirping and getting in their faces, and they just can't help themselves. Like, it's a problem. You have Moz saying, 6 weeks ago that he takes ownership of it, and nothing's changed. Like, what?
We had 2 good weeks, and then 2 good games.
Yes.
And then now it's like the wheels all fall off. Yeah, 1 week.
Yeah.
And I mean, God, we could just go on all night with the problems.
Yes. Well,
offense again leaves the defense high and dry.
Yeah.
The first and the fourth.
That's mine. That was the one that's the one that I wanted to, that I was waiting for.
By all mine.
And Kayla deemed this a couple of weeks ago the 4th quarter cringe.
Yeah.
We continue the 4th quarter cringe. Now we've had 4 games with a total of 3 points in the 4th quarter. That's 60 minutes of 4th quarter football where we're supposed to be at our best, where we're supposed to be the dominant team, and we have 3 points
combined.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
How much did we get in the half? The second half?
Yeah.
3 points.
Unreal. Like, how do you just can't win games that way?
I don't know if is it play calling? Is it?
Well, I think that's part of it.
Yeah. I think so. Again, when you're not running the ball, especially when it's an 18-15 game.
Yeah.
There's no reason to abandon the run in that game.
No. Absolutely. Absolutely no reason.
It's carbon copy of how many games? We saw it against BC. Mm-hmm. You saw it against Hamilton. You see it against Ottawa. And you sit there and you see it coming out of the half and immediately know what's about to happen because you see the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. And teams know it. I mean, they're paid. And I made the joke on Twitter that I'm not paid to read defenses, understand defenses. But, I mean, you know what's coming.
Yeah.
If you can see it sitting on your couch, these guys getting paid for it are going to understand it.
Yeah.
So
it's very true. It's very true. And I think I was trying to come up with the proper analogy, and I was talking with Doug, former co-host Doug.
Yep.
And this is the analogy that I came up with, and I think this is why we are all where we're at this particular moment. It's because we're like the parent of an honors kid, and we know that they just aren't living up to their potential.
It's true.
And so it's like extra frustrating. It's like if we knew that the team really wasn't that good, do you know what I mean? Like if in our own brain, like exactly 2013, you kind of go, okay, we'd be focusing on, look at the positives that they did. And this is great. They can build off these, right? Oop. But I'm really chatting with my hands because I'm pissed off.
Yeah. Kayla would be proud.
Oh yeah, but if you know that they have the talent and they just can't somehow put it together, it's absolutely infuriating.
To extend that metaphor even further, it's like you're the parent of an honor kid and it's their grade 12 year. Because this is a Grey Cup.
That's very true. That's perfect.
You know, it's just like, you have the Grey Cup in your house. Do you really want to see Calgary or Saskatchewan or Winnipeg or BC in your locker room?
Yeah.
You're going to.
Because you
If
can't
you buy
put
a
a fourth
ticket.
quarter together. Like,
Seriously.
You know,
I like that.
I think the word you said, it's infuriating. You know, 2013 example. It's frustrating, but you go home, you saw the effort. The talent wasn't there. They were coming together. But like I said, I've never been so pissed off after a football game in my life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, I just don't know why, but I think you nailed it. Like, they should be better, and they have the talent and they have the ability, and they just disappear.
Yeah.
And that's, it's not just whatever. It's like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, and you see it in even that game, the return against Calgary, right? All of us at halftime were like, well, we had a great half. That's great. Now, could they keep going? And in the third quarter, we're like, we're finally going to see it.
We're 20
We're
points
finally
up.
going to see it. And then they just about friggin' blow it.
Yep.
And then this one, you're like, what happened to the team that played last week against the supposed best defense in the league?
I need to look up what our record is coming off a bye.
It's got to be horrible.
And I don't know, and we've talked about it ad infinitum, ad nauseum.
Yes.
Very nauseum. It just seems like you see the practices and the way Moss is running those practices, especially after coming off the Chris Jones era where his practices were very intense.
Oh, super intense.
And Moss is giving vet days, and they're much more laid back. And combine that with the fact that they're not allowed to have padded practices virtually during the season.
Yeah.
Only just a few of them, so the intensity goes down even further. Honestly, I just wonder if that's it. They're just not up for some of these games. Like, they're too busy getting in that mode, and by the time they wake up, because the fourth quarter, 0 points.
Yep.
By the time they wake up, I mean, a quarter of the game's over, and
Yeah.
then they take the fourth off, and most of the third.
Ugh. Yeah.
I mean, again, there were some interceptions and things like that, and that's going to happen. Riley's going to definitely have the record for most interceptions off of his receiver's hands.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's
off the chest. Off the chest.
like 3 or 4. Well, 3 or 4 from Nate Bahar so far this year.
Yeah.
Nate, it's
a couple
been a tough
from
year
Hazelton.
it's been a tough year for Nate, and it's not his fault in any way.
No,
It's just I think some of those balls were really high, and if you're, he's getting used
really
to them.
tiny.
No, not so much. But it's just one of those things that, you start combining all of those interceptions. Half of the interceptions Riley's had have been off of his own player.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's all tip drills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely. Well, we need to talk about something that's a little more positive.
So we're not going to talk about kick returns? Good.
No, I'm going to leave it because we already know it and we've been negative enough. They know the feeling.
Coach has already skipped that part. So.
Well, let's not go there. Okay, let's talk about something more pleasant. Let's go back, shall we? It is time for the Eskimo history moment.
Let's hear you cheer and holler for a mighty famous team. Let's hear you roar, you know what, for a team that's on repeat. Our voices rise up to the skies, the fans are glad to scream. We love those Eskimos.
Welcome back to the Eskimos history moment. On September 6th, 1982, the Eskimos lost the Labor Day game 32-20 versus the rival Calgary Stampeders.
Boo.
25 years ago this week, the Eskimos got trounced 52-14 at home by the visiting Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And on Labor Day 3 short years ago, September 7th, 2015, the Green and Gold suffered a 16-7 loss to the Stamps, their 11th straight loss to their southern nemesis.
Did I not say this is going to be more pleasant?
Yeah, who gave Mike this section?
Well, this is just great, you're probably saying. We were hoping for something a little more positive, at least that's what everyone in this room is saying. What do these 3 September games have in common? Each of these were the last losses of the season for the Eskimos before going on a tear to finish off the season, and each one saw them en route to winning the Grey Cup. In 1982, the last place Eskimos rattled off 8 consecutive wins to take first place, and then 2 more wins to win their 5th Grey Cup in 5 years, of course, still a record. In 1993, Edmonton won 5 straight to finish second and host the semifinal, and then beat Calgary at McMahon to knock the Stampeders out before the Grey Cup in Calgary, and beat their rival Bombers who had beaten them in the big game 3 years earlier. And of course, in 2015, we all remember Mike Riley coming back from an injury suffered in the first game to back up James Franklin on Labor Day, before taking the reins back and willing this team to yet another first-place finish and ultimately the Grey Cup in Winnipeg that year. All teams go through streaks. The Eskimos were hard-pressed to find wins in the 60s and lost 13 straight games between 63 and 64. But in the 1950s, they were a fine-tuned machine, reeling off win after win more often than not, going 105, 49, and 2 in their first full decade of playing. The mid-1950s is when they won their Grey Cups. And starting in the 1954 season and continuing through 1955, the Eskimos rattled off 14 straight wins, still the team record, and good for second in the CFL history to boot. In 1954, Edmonton went 11-5, even after starting the season with 2 straight road losses, to take first in the West. On October 16th of that year, the Green and Gold beat the first-year BC Lions 31-3 at Clark Stadium. Hardly something that everyone was thinking would be the start of something special, but it was the first game of a streak that would set records. Parker, Kwong, Miles, and Bright went to Vancouver 2 days later and shut out the hometown Lions 22-0 to set their win streak at 2, before finishing off the season at home, beating Saskatchewan 24-19 and Winnipeg 21-12 to end the regular season. Of course, Edmonton ended up winning the club's first ever Grey Cup later that year, but the winning wasn't over. In 1955, Edmonton lost quarterback Bernie Filoni to the U.S. Army and switched Jackie Parker from halfback quarterback to full-time quarterback and beat both Toronto and Hamilton to go undefeated in the preseason. They swept the competition in August, beating both the Stampeders 13-10, Winnipeg 13-9 on the road, and then came home to best the still-building BC Lions 29-12. Since most teams played 2 games a week in the 1950s, Edmonton had 7 games in September, beating the Green Riders 19-12, the Lions again 18-13, Calgary 24-12, Saskatchewan 26-9, and Winnipeg 14-8 before their road trip where they shut out both the Stamps and Lions 15-0 in back-to-back games. Incredibly, this gave them a 10-0 record for 1955, but the 14-game win streak over 2 seasons, a feat that had never been done before. Edmonton also went 14-2 to finish the 1955 regular season, the first time anyone had ever won 14 games in a season in Canadian football, and ended the year with the second consecutive Grey Cup win. And with the third Grey Cup win in 1956, yet another, but not the last, Eskimo streak.
Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. We love those Eskimos.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
There's always a chance, my friend.
And that is really what it comes down to.
It's
is
true.
That there is always a chance. Thank you, Superfan. Let's take a really quick break, and then we'll come back with our CFPN game preview, our pick'ems, and of course our fantasy pick.
This is Quick Boat saying listen to the Eskimo Empire podcast.
The Eskimo Empire podcast is brought to you by United Construction Company. As a full-service commercial general contractor, United Construction Company serves large and small-scale commercial, light industrial, and multifamily residential construction projects across Western Canada. UCC is a relationship-focused builder, forming a trust and respect that is at the forefront of their commitment to quality, value, and integrity. Visit their website at unitedconstruction.ca to find out more and support them as they support the Empire.
Get loud for me. Get loud for me. Get loud for me. Hands in the crowd, we tearing it down.
You can join the Empire online.
Find us at eskempire.ca.
Check out all the new blogs and then follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
For more history, follow at Esks History on Twitter.
And even more of my pics on Esk Empire Photo.
Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to help the pod grow. Thanks again for listening. Let's get back to the show. All right, we are back, and it is time for our pick'ems for this week. The leader after this week is still Steve-O18. I don't know if any of us are going to catch him, actually. He's got quite a lead going on there. I fell down to 31st now, and Superfan, you're in 39th, so we're getting really close. Our little personal rivalry is going to come to a head.
It's less that I'm doing well, it's just you're coming down to
I'm coming down to get there. Yeah. All right, the first game up this week is Friday Night Football, which is Toronto versus Calgary at McMahon. Who do you got in this one, Chad?
I hate to say it, but it's got to be Calgary. I don't see Toronto putting a complete game together against Calgary.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. Superfan?
This is in Calgary.
Yeah.
I mean, fool me 12 times, shame on me. Well, let's be honest. I picked Toronto last week, and that was so close.
It was close. Very close. I thought we were going to pull it off there. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I was thinking, okay, at least I'll go 3-1 with the Eskimo loss. Of course. Yeah. No, not going to happen this week.
No.
Calgary is definitely going to take this one. They can't beat our 16-2 record in 89, but let's be honest, 89 wasn't a great year in the grand scheme of things, so they can have it.
All right, wonderful. And I think they are coming off a bye as well, so this one's all Calgary all the time. Yeah. Next one, of course, there's a Saturday doubleheader. We're going to start with the rematch between the highlight game this weekend. BC versus Hamilton. This time they're back in the donut box. And, of course, that will be on the TV at the tailgate as it's early game. Who do you have in this one, Superfan?
This one was super close, and they always say that home field advantage is good for 3 points.
Yep.
So I think, for their fans' sake, I'm hoping June Jones has learned something.
Oh, good Lord.
How about
don't kick the single.
Yeah. I mean, I know how to... Kickers are such an emotional and fragile kind of group sometimes. And to just basically tell your kicker, I just don't believe in you, so we're going to make you punt. That can't be that good. So hopefully he's learned his lesson and said his mea culpas, and they'll win this one by, again, a close one.
All right.
Do you feel that Jones watched an early October 2015 game against Edmonton and Winnipeg? Just some flashbacks for him?
No, I think he watched the Western Final last year.
And he's like, oh yeah, he's going to kick a field goal with 2 minutes left. Hold my beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think it was. We appreciate that. I mean, it's nice to have that difference. I'm going to give the slight edge to Hamilton here again. I think that they almost pulled that one out, and if they could know how to run a clock, they probably would have won that game.
That sounds familiar.
Doesn't it? But I think there's a good chance they're going to have Brandon Banks back as well, and that definitely adds another dimension to their offense. So I'm going to pull Hamilton at home.
I'm taking Hamilton, but it's not going to be close.
No?
Oh, really? You think it's going to be a blowout?
Not going to be close. I think Hamilton comes out pissed off, and I don't feel that I think BC got lucky in a lot of areas, and I don't think those same breaks fall this time.
I hope you're right.
I guess part of that's hoping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I do feel it's going to be a blowout.
All right. Next up, of course, is our game, Winnipeg versus Edmonton. 5:00 start here at Commonwealth Stadium. We've got the Uncle BD stats moment.
Yes.
Now, Riley has had 300-plus yard games in the last 7 versus Winnipeg. In those 7 games, he has 13 TDs and 5 interceptions. So, lots for hope. I guess there's a lot of hope on that, being that we, all over the team at the beginning of it. There's a lot of hope there. I feel
there is something
like I should be wearing Princess Leia buns. There's a lot of hope there. I know.
Please don't.
Nope,
not a visual.
I have the headphones on.
I'm still scarred by Travis's dancing.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
Is that going to replace it?
It might.
Possibly. There is hope. Let's first go to our CFPN preview this week, and that features one of the latest pods to join the network in the Canadian Football Countdown as we welcome Ryan to the show. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. I mean, you've had both myself and Duchess on, and it's about time we get you on in the Turf District here. I'm glad you're part of the team, man.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So now let's talk a little bit about Winnipeg and this game coming up. So Winnipeg's kind of had an up and down year. I mean, we're one to talk being Eskimo fans, but they did come through with a big win on Friday. So did you see the team kind of starting to come back together after the losing streak?
Yeah, I think it was a step in the right direction. Obviously, they let Montreal hang around in the game for far longer than you probably should let Montreal hang around in a game. And that was a little bit concerning in that sense. But after Matt Nichols had struggled for so many weeks and all of the talk about, whether or not Chris Streveler should start to get the start, Matt Nichols went back to his bread and butter, which was the game manager type of game. I know everyone hates that label, but truth be told, game manager Matt Nichols is the best Matt Nichols, and that's what he did this week, and I think that's when he plays his best.
I think you had Matt Nichols in fantasy.
I did.
And my text to Mike was, I hope he manages to get you 15 points.
Which he almost did.
Almost.
Yeah.
But on a dollars per point basis, he was one of the better ones.
Yeah, so. You did better than I did. Yeah.
All right. So one of the big questions, obviously, is going to be involving our least favorite Eskimo killer, Andrew Harris. So is he going to be good to go, or are they going to go with LaFrance, who, let's be honest, has killed the Esks just as much?
Yeah, throw back to that West final, right? Or East final, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew Harris did go down. He missed the second half. I'm not entirely sure if it was maybe a bit more precautionary. I think early in the week, we still don't really know yet. Not only Andrew Harris, even with Nick Dembski and Adam Bighill, those guys also went down this week. Certainly, a couple big pieces on offense and defense went down for the Bombers this week. And boy, I mean, the offense ticks with Andrew Harris. You stop Andrew Harris, and I think it was Henoch Muamba said so on the pregame show actually here in Winnipeg before the game, playing for Montreal. You stop Andrew Harris, you stop the Bombers' offense, and you kind of saw that in the second half with the offense stalling for basically the whole third quarter against Montreal. So I don't know if Andrew Harris can't play. I'm a little concerned against the Eskimos' defense.
the whole team taking a quarter off. Does that sound familiar at all?
Against the Eskimos
just a quarter?
I've never heard that phrase this year, actually.
So that's a good point.
So I see a lot of similarities actually between the Bomber and the SD. Both bend a lot and sometimes break. What do you look for from the Bomber D to keep Riley and company in check?
Well, they're going to have one of their best games of the season because it's Mike Riley, and you're not going to... the Bombers' defense is so hit and miss. You show up when, you go to a game, you could expect them to shut them down completely, turnover after turnover, or you can expect them to, just be torn to shreds. And, well, when you're facing Mike Riley more often than not, you're going to be torn to shreds. Especially if Adam Bighill is out with injury. He's been such a force there at middle linebacker all season long and been the leader on that defense. I think they might have a bit of an issue stopping Mike Riley here.
Well, I think I'm good with that. But yeah, we're not going to complain, but I agree that I think that both defenses kind of been back and forth, and you're just not exactly sure what you're going to get every week when they come out onto the field. So it should be interesting. Of course, now it's back in Edmonton, so that hopefully that'll make somewhat of a difference for us.
What's the weather supposed to be like Saturday night? Are we in for Long Live the Night Bowl round 2 here? Or?
With the Eskimos this season, you never can tell. A couple days ago we looked and it was supposed to be 16. This morning I looked, it's supposed to be +3. Just bring clothes for every occasion. I think it would be fine.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Alberta. At some point, the weather is going to affect the game. That's just how this works. It'll be an interesting one for sure. I think there's lots of. What are the keys for you for Winnipeg to win the game?
Well, the key is going to be to get pressure on Mike Riley. That's something they did really well this week in their bounce-back game against Montreal. Craig Rowe was an absolute monster in that game, had 3 sacks, 7 tackles, especially if you have a guy like Bighill out with injury. Somebody's going to need to step up and fill in there. Get pressure on Mike Riley. I have noticed throughout the year that, the Eskimos' offense likes to force that deep ball an awful lot, so I think if you can get him into that situation where he's trying to force that, you've got a decent ball-hawking secondary, maybe not as strong as they have been in recent years, but if you can get Mike Riley to start forcing those downfield, yes, Duke Williams will beat you for a 101-yard touchdown on, the opening play of the year, but... sometimes you come up with those balls as well, and you kind of shut the offense down there. And on the offensive side of the ball, I think it's just the key is going to be Andrew Harris's health, I think, because if not, Keenan LaFrance only had, I think it was something like a 2.1 yard average per carry when he came in and filled in that game. He was not very effective against the Alouettes in the second half. I know he has that past of killing the Eskimos as well, but I think Andrew Harris just opens up so many things for Matt Nichols, especially with some of the injuries at wide receiver like Nick Dembski.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on to chat some football with us. Plug your pod, man. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. So you can find us on basically any podcast platform. So if you're listening to this, well, just search for our podcast, The Canadian Football Countdown. You'll probably find it there. We've typically been doing 2 episodes a week, a recap and a preview all season long. That is actually changing going forward. For the rest of this year, though, we will just have it combined into 1 episode. And I'm actually taking a bit of a break from the pod for the rest of the season to finish off my university degree. But you can still look forward to hearing my co-host, Michael Garrell, hosting it every week. And you can find us on Twitter at CFC on Mike FM to find and listen to all that.
Fantastic. Thanks, man. And again, welcome to the network. And I'd say good luck on Saturday, but I, at this particular moment, don't mean it at all. I just hope that we can be friends after.
Oh, of course. It's just that 3 hours where, we don't really talk to each other. But after that, it's all cool. Except, a loss here for the Bombers probably puts our playoff hopes in jeopardy. So it might last a little longer.
Yeah, ours too. So I totally get it. Well, I'll be friendly after. It's okay.
All right. Sounds
all right.
good.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Take care.
Thank you very much to Ryan. That was fantastic. It was nice we finally got him on our show instead of going the other way. So I'm glad they're part of the network. That's fantastic. Now let's talk about the Esks side a little bit. So obviously, as we kind of mentioned at the end of that, it's kind of a do or die for both teams at this point with those last 4 teams all being so close together. It's a little bit crazy. Nice. Chad, what would you put as the key to winning the game against the Bombers?
Run game. Got to get that run game going and keep it going.
Mm-hmm. Can't argue with that at all. Super fan.
Well, I'm going to agree with that one.
No,
for
of course,
sure.
Yeah, of course.
You got to have some balance there, but keeping those penalties down, and it's you can get away with some of the football penalties. The guy, if you're going to have. You're holding on to a guy, you hold on to him for a half yard too long, and you get, Ray Bradbury.
Yeah.
I know it's Al, but some of his calls are science fiction.
Well done.
Something like that. It just, you got to be disciplined. And I think any other option is just, maybe showing up. Offense show up in the second half, good things can happen.
That would be great. That would be great.
Oh, with a full 60 minutes? That's a thing?
Wait a minute.
45, please.
We've shown we can win if we play 45, so that would be good. I'd be happy with 45, because we only did 30 this last weekend, so 45 would be great.
Yes.
60 would be better. I do think, though, that a lot of this, too, is going to come down to, like you've already said, running the ball, like sustained offensive drives, keeping Nichols on the sideline and keeping Andrew Harris possibly on the sideline if he is playing. And again, that's a bit of we don't know because it was a bit of a tweak, and he may be back this week. He may not be, but the key is to keep the Eskimo killer on the bench, which means our offense, we need to win time of possession.
Yeah.
So as much as the long bombs are so exciting, I love seeing the 25-yard catch that turns into the 80-yard run and the touchdown and the 50-yard bomb that he catches in full stride. I love seeing that. It's lovely. Like, once would be fine, and then the rest can just be control the clock and control the ball.
You can build those bombs off the run game, though. Mike
Absolutely.
said earlier, they know what's coming. Shut them down. If you have a run game drawing those guys down, those DBs, those safeties down, get up over the top and take a shot. But when it's nothing but deep shots, it's coming.
Right. Yeah. Or even just nothing but pass plays in general. Like that, even that's, it doesn't even have to be the deep shot. If it's pass, run, pass. Like, guess what? You're just telling Craig Rowe, run at Mike Riley constantly. Just go get him, because you're going to have time to get there. right? So I just need a little bit of balance there for sure. Let's talk about our picks in this game. I guess that kind of leaves me going first, doesn't it? Oh, brutal. All right. Well, I'm finding the hope in that we've played better at home than we have on the road. Mike Riley and his 300-plus yard games comes in again. And I honestly hope they're a little pissed off after last week.
They better be.
So I am going to pick the Eskimos in this one. Chad?
Going with the Eskimos. I think they do come out pissed off. I think they put a complete-ish game together.
Ish. I appreciate the ish.
Complete-ish.
Yeah.
And I think they can control that clock with the run game. I think we see a win.
Absolutely. All right. Superfan?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our record on the road, it's pretty abysmal. But our record at home is quite good other than a couple of games, two games.
Yeah.
And like you say, I think that Riley's just going to be going into that locker room and smacking some of the offensive linemen with a big steak or something. I don't know. Whatever it's going to take.
Steak!
Yeah, they're hungry. It's food.
Absolutely.
I don't know what it's going to take, but if anyone's going to know, it's going to be Riley. He's the leader of this team, and as he goes, so goes this team. He's not been happy with himself for whatever reason. Maybe he heard you wanted to keep Franklin. Anyway.
Maybe. Yeah, that could have been that.
But I think they're going to come out. They're going to probably have a better first quarter. I'm hoping they can have a really good fourth quarter as well, and the defense does seem to do well for the first 2 or 3 quarters of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can do that and score a bunch of points, then hopefully it doesn't matter what they do in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely. I agree. So game again, 5 o'clock on Saturday. Now, cheap dogs and beer at this one. Hot dogs for $2, beer for $5, I heard.
I'm going to be too full on mini pizzas.
Probably, yes. Tailgate, as you just mentioned, is opened around 3 o'clock-ish. So make sure that you come on down, say hello, and grab a mini pizza. As many as we can make off the barbecue is going to be interesting. We'll see how that works. So, okay, our last game for this week is the Sunday game, which is Saskatchewan versus Montreal in Montreal. Who do you got in this one, Chad?
Taking Montreal.
Really?
Taking Montreal.
Wow.
I think you're going to see a hell of a game out of Manziel.
Okay.
I think he's going to put it together, and he's going to thankfully do us a favor.
Okay. I really hope you're right. Superfan.
I don't think that's going to happen. Manziel's got it's been a tough year for him. I mean, to be fair, and I haven't been very fair to Manziel during this podcast.
What?
He's been thrown into the fire. He's asked to be thrown into the fire.
Yes,
Let's be 100% straight. But it's very rare when you can get a first-year quarterback who can play a season and do that well.
Yes.
Chris Streveler had a good start.
Absolutely.
But teams started to figure him out as it went along by the time they got to game 3.
Mm-hmm.
And Manziel, I don't know. His film study's just not his thing. So if you're not going to be doing a lot of the film and people are studying your film, you're not going to do as well. So until he shows me he can do it, I don't believe in him. And while I'm not a big fan of Saskatchewan's offense, but their defense is scary, and they might have scored Montreal themselves.
Entirely possible. Absolutely. I agree with you, and I like the fact that you didn't actually make a pick, but everyone knows that our pick in the pick'em is that, but we don't have to say it out loud.
Right.
Perfect. All right, let's talk fantasy football as far as CFL is concerned. Leader is still Matt Pretty. I feel like I can just put that on, I'm
just going to
clip that in every week. Yeah, Matt Pretty. Now, I'm in 10th. Superfan, you're in 24th. Got any? Yeah, and you're playing fantasy this year, right? Or
I am not doing fantasy. I can't do it.
Can't do that.
I start cheering for weird things to happen, like a receiver falling down on the 1 yard line for a running back to get a touchdown. So it saps the enjoyment out of the games for me.
Okay, that's a different way to look at it. Absolutely. Got any picks for players this week? Or?
Yeah, I was sort of fooling around with some numbers, and I started trying to figure out for the quarterbacks, for example, what is the sort of cost per point?
Right.
If you had been taking Mike Riley every week, and I know he's expensive.
He is.
Just means you're cheap.
I was not cheap last week.
No, how'd that work for you?
Not so well.
Not so well.
Nope.
But if you take Jonathan Jennings,
yes,
he had 244 per point that he earned in fantasy.
Okay.
To put that in perspective, in the last game, Mike Riley was $714 a point. So 3 times more efficient.
Wow.
In fact, Jonathan Jennings, that is by far the best of anyone in the last game.
Yes, absolutely.
Second best, I think we've got Masoli at $463 a point.
Wow.
So double.
Yeah, no kidding.
So even if they lose, I mean, I predict it's going to be tight. Chad figures it's going to be a bit more of a blowout. But he's going to be the guy going in for short yardage. He's got great legs to run the ball as well.
Wow.
You know, I pay attention to these things.
I knew you would, yeah.
And I think that he's cheap. He's, $6,500 or something like that.
Yeah, for a starting quarterback. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I take him.
All right, that's not a bad call. I'm thinking this week you got Calgary versus Toronto at home. Pick all the Stampeders you possibly can. Romar Morris is still sitting around 5,400, I believe, as a possible starting running back. Can't really ignore that after the game.
I tried getting people to pick Calgary guys last week, and it just didn't work.
No, because they didn't play.
Well, that's my whole strategy.
And I didn't call you on it either. I was just like, oh yeah, that's great. Great. I really listened to the show. I listened to our conversation. No, I think Calgary's got a lot there. And I mean, let's just face it. If Harris is playing and you don't take him against the Eskimos, then probably. I mean,
just quit.
That's points you're just flushing down the drain. Hell, if it's LaFrance, I would still pick him up as the running back.
As long as there's snow on the ground, he's running.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't even remind me.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes. So just things to think about. Thank you guys for coming down and being a part of this. I know we got a little heated in there, but that's all right. I think as fans, that's our right to do. So fantastic conversation, and I'm glad you guys were here for that. Chad, where does everybody find you on the Twitters and all those things?
Really only Twitter. It's at Nubian1. You can see me commenting and liking all the Empire podcasts. So just find me that way.
That's perfect.
To quote Kevin Smith, what's a Nubian?
That's right. Exactly.
I have no idea.
You can find me at Angry Esks Fan.
I wish you would have changed it to that. That would have been fantastic.
You can find me at 56 Parkies.
Wonderful. And you can find me at Freepalicious, of course, the show at Esk Empire Pod. Thank you to Ryan from Canadian Football Countdown for joining us again for the CFPN game preview. And thank you again, of course, to our sponsor, United Construction Company. Check out their website at unitedconstruction.ca and, of course, on Twitter at UCC_EDM. You down with UCC?
Yeah, you know me.
Not too bad. Make sure you find us, of course, on all of our social channels. You can find that on eskempire.ca. Join us for the tailgate, as I've said a few times, this week at 3. It may possibly be the best part of Saturday, but let's hope it isn't.
No, it'll be great.
But the tailgate's going to be a blast.
I'll be there. That's all that matters now.
That's
right?
really all
That's
that
right.
matters. I mean, everybody's going to want to meet you now after being on here. Exactly. Pizzas for everyone as much as we can provide, so that'll be a lot of fun. Of course, we will be back next week. We'll work on possibly getting an alumni in here, or it may just be Mike and I going off again. Let's see how this works.
Yeah.
So, is it time for the offense to find some positive consistency?
Absolutely.
Can the D keep them to field goals again?
Absolutely.
And are we ready to see the Esks play an actual full 60 minutes?
Absolutely.
Well, we're ready.
Yes.
That's the trick of the question.
That's true.
Yes, we are ready. I
That's
didn't
we
say is it going. I didn't say is it going to. I said, are we ready?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Superfan. For Chad, Commissioner Kayla, and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.